mobilize. I'm going to try some wrist exercises today. Just a quick little video to go over some ways to mobilize your wrist to get ready for having weight on your hands on the floor, or just to make these joints feel better. So we're going to start with a couple where you don't need any weight in your hands. I'm just going to start with the inside of the wrist touching. So from the inside of the wrist touching, we're just going to roll around the wrist and always keep the wrists in contact with each other. So if you tuck your thumbs in, that'll make it a little bit more accessible. So tuck your thumbs in. So from the inside of the wrist touching, we're going to start to roll to the pinky side. So the pinky fingers will come towards touching, and then roll into the back of your hands, which means that your fingers are going to come in towards you. And then as your arms reach forward, roll the outer edges of your wrists, and then the inside of your wrists come back together to touch. And just keep going through that, and try to keep the wrists in contact at the whole time. So it's hard for me to even do that. But you just keep trying to get the back of the wrist, and then the edge of the wrist, and then the inside of the wrist back to touch. So inside towards the pinkies, towards the back, and again towards the sides of the wrists. And you'll have to bend and straighten your arms as you roll around. And maybe this is easy for you, but just go as slow as you need to really be precise in your movements. They're not just kind of rolling on the hands and feeling like you're getting into the wrists. You can always try reversing and going in the opposite direction, which is something that I find usually we have one direction that makes sense for our brain and another direction that does not make sense for the brain. So why not try to do both? Give yourself a little bit of a chance to figure that out. Yeah, let's do one more time around. And then interlace your fingers. This is one of my favorites. All you need to do is interlace your fingers, keeping the palms together, and just move your hands right and left. And yet, for me, I always go in that one direction. So if I try to go the other direction, it feels very strange, a little clunky. So try a little bit of both. And then we'll keep the fingers interlaced. And this one, I'm just going to take mine apart for a second. We're going to really work the edge, the lateral edge of the wrist. So for this one, it's important to make sure that the palms are going to stay down. So you're not bringing your palms forward. That will cheat you on this one. So with your fingers interlaced, palms down towards the floor, cross your thumb or touch your thumbs to each other, and then start to reach your arms forward. Most likely you will not be able to straighten your arms. You can, I'm jealous. But just try to straighten as much as you can until you feel that nice stretch on the outer edge of your wrists. And then back in, and then extend your arms forward. Back in. Okay, don't let your hands turn, palms stay towards the floor. And we'll do 3 more. And last one. And then bring the hands back. We're going to go into all fours and work with a little bit more weight. So quadruped position, your palms down the floor, your hands underneath your shoulders, and your knees underneath your hips. And first we'll just start just mobilizing around the wrist a little more. So bring your fingertips out to the side, and just rock right and left. I already feel more than I would normally feel here from doing those other exercises first. And you can keep pressing down through each fingertip too. That's a good way to make sure you're not bringing all of your weight towards one part of your hand or overworking any one part of your wrist. And then we'll come back to center. Left hand goes forward and right hand turns back. For some people, that's enough. That's all you need to do. You're gonna feel a wonderful stretch there at the back of your wrist. If that's not that much, you just push your butt back until you feel the stretch. And then come out of the intensity of the stretch and just try to draw a few circles. So again, you're just shifting weight around your wrists. And then we'll switch and we'll try the other side. So bring your right hand forward if you need to in between sides. You can do this very scientific shaking out of your wrists. Left fingertips face back. Maybe that's enough. Maybe you need to push your hips back a little bit, feel a deeper stretch. And then come forward again and just circle around that joint a little bit. Notice if anything wants to pull away from the floor. Again, see if you can spread your fingers wide and you use your fingers and find more balance. And if there's a point of pain, obviously just make it a little smaller, avoid the pain. And then we're going to hold in the center here. And we're going to bring our forearms down to the floor. So we're going to take fists, and then the fingers are facing up, the back of the hands are down, the elbows go out to the side, and from this position, we're just going to try to press away and straighten. The arms again probably won't go straight. Elbows down, and then press and straighten, but it's really going to stretch the back of your wrist pretty effectively. Kind of the opposite of that full extension that we get. One main weight in the hands. Let's do 2 more. Last one. And then come down. And then again, you can shake your hands out if you need to shake, or the flick of the fingers. These are good. Even just like kind of up and down, and then right and left, like you're drawing your nails. You know, again, it's not anything fancy, but it is working those joints a bit. And moving on, we're going to do the palm lifts. This is going to be strengthening more for the forearms, but it's all connected, so when they're working and doing their job, there's less weight that's going to be feeling like it's in your hands and your wrists. So palm lifts. Palm lifts are very tricky initially. Most people have trouble with these. But what you're doing is that's what you're doing. You're lifting your palm. You can lift your thumbs up off the floor, keeping the fingers and the knuckles down on the floor. And you really should start feeling the forearms firing up. And I'm going right away to doing both hands at the same time. Often if you're struggling with these and you're trying to do both hands at the same time, you'll kind of like peel one and then the other, peel one then the other. So that's normal, but over time trying to lift both at the same time. And then over time you can, add weight to it. So you could do it without the knees on the floor. You could do it in a full plank. But if these are challenging with the knees on the floor, obviously you don't just jump ahead. This is over time. And then if you had your knees up off the floor, if you're trying that trick, bring them back down. We're going to try to do it, again, in a kind of a circular movement. So you're trying to kind of lift up through that pinky finger edge of your right hand, and then up towards the ring finger, then towards the middle finger, then towards your pointer, and then kind of roll it down. So you're kind of like lifting up in a circular movement. I'm not asking you to try to do both hands at the same time with this. I don't think I'm that coordinated yet. Well, let's try it on the other hand. So lift up towards the pinky toe or pinky finger side, and the ring finger and the middle finger and the pointer finger, and back down towards the thumb. And just starting to feel like you're lifting from that side. I have a lot less control in my left hand doing it this way. Not something I do enough, these circular lifts. A couple more. And let's try the other direction. So pressing like you're going to lift up from the thumb area and then moving around. And you can lift your thumb up and leaving the other fingers down. I feel that rotation in the right hand. Moving around the knuckles towards the baby finger. 2 more right hand. And then we'll do it in the other direction on the left. Again, you can pick up your thumb. Oh, this one's even more weird. I think that's probably normal if you're right-handed. Doing these articulations and your left hand is probably not as smooth. And vice versa. Although left-handed people are usually really good at this kind of stuff because they're used to living in a right-handed world. 1 more on the left side. And then just 1 more, the finale, the back of the hand. So again, this might be enough. Like you place the back of your hand towards the floor, again, that very opposite stretch. Kind of spread your fingers out. You don't need to straighten your arm. If it's not much, you can sit further back. And again, you can shake it out. Do the other side. Back of the left hand to the floor. Again, that's a big stretch already. Great. If you need more, sink it back. And then shake it out. And let's end with just a little bit of shaking. Up and down, right and left. Even just setting a timer, if you just wanted to do the shaking, nothing else, you just set a timer and do these exercises and really start to feel like you've kind of started to move something around in there. And then if you want 1 more, if squatting is comfortable for you, you can squat and bring the back of your hand to the inside of your calf, right? So that when you shift your weight back, you're starting to feel like you're creating this pressure in the back of your hands, which is a nice stretch. And then you can even kind of rock a little bit right and left, kind of similar to when you do the gorilla Padastasana, you stand on your hands. And that's your wrist warm up.